What's up, everybody? It's Russ Allen. Today, we are going to be concluding our series on justification by learning that good things do not and cannot justify us. So before we start the lesson, I want to read this passage to you. So Romans 3:28 says, "For we hold that one is justified by faith apart from works of the law." So this verse tells us that the most important thing in all of the universe being made right with God is by faith. This is the key to our purpose in life and our goal in life. So our first point for tonight, before we begin, is our nature is to justify by our actions. Our nature is to justify by our actions. See, this passage that we read from Romans does not come naturally to us. I want you to think of all the ways that you tend to justify yourself. If I accused you of being stupid, for example, how would you try to justify yourself? How would you try to justify actually being smart? Well, you would probably say, well, I get good grades, or I received this award, or give me an IQ test right now and I will prove to you that I'm not stupid. See, sometimes I think we tend to do this with our relationship with God as well. If I accused you of not being in right standing with God, how would you try to justify yourself? Maybe you would say, well, I go to church every Sunday, or I read my Bible, or I go to life group, or I'm nice to people. But see, we tend to think that the closer we follow the rules, the closer we are to God. And I want us to know tonight that that is actually not true. So before we go a little deeper, I want you to pause this video and answer a few questions with your group. Welcome back, guys. So our second point for tonight is that our actions cannot justify us. Our actions cannot justify us. See, the problem with trying to justify ourselves by our actions is that our actions are not good enough for God. I want you to imagine this. We have to travel around the world in a boat to reach paradise, this perfect world. But this boat has a hole in the foundation. And so the boat cannot survive the stormy waters. Think about the Titanic. The Titanic had all the bells and whistles. It was the most luxurious boat in all the world, but the foundation had a fatal flaw. See, this is the case with us. We are all like these boats. Now, some may have more holes than others. Some may look fancier and be more equipped with all of the neat-looking things than others, but none of them are good enough to complete this trip. All of these boats, all of us, fall short of getting to paradise, of being in right relationship with God. So friends, don't trust in your boat with holes. You will drown if you do. Unfortunately, this is what every other religion in the world does. They tell you that the boat with less holes, or the ones that appear bigger and fancier, are better. They say that if you only do more, or if you only try harder, then you can be with God, that you can make yourself right with God. But I want you to understand that a boat with any hole is not a good boat. no matter how good the rest of it is. And a person with any sin is not a good person. See, we all fall short. That's why the Apostle Paul says that all of his good deeds, all of the things he thought could justify him, are loss. Just like the luxury of a cruise boat is loss if it sinks in the sea. So before we get to our third and final point tonight, pause this video again and answer a few more questions with your group. So our final point for tonight is that faith in Christ's actions justifies us. Faith in Christ's actions justifies us. It crushes our pride to know that our own actions, no matter how good, aren't good enough. And this is a good thing. Our pride should be crushed. If we go back to our last scenario, we need to understand that we are people stranded in a stormy ocean who are in need of saving. And while every other religion says that we must push through and try to get to God, the gospel says that this is impossible. But the good news is that God comes to us, that God comes and rescues us, that he saves us. See, when you put your faith in Jesus, it's like calling out to him from the ocean and getting into his boat, a boat that has no holes. Jesus never sinned. He was the only perfect, sinless human to have ever lived. His boat is the only one that can bring us to paradise, to be with God. Christ is perfect. He is a perfect human who was perfectly obedient to the will of God, perfectly sinless. Jesus alone passes the test. He passes where we fail. And when we have faith in him, when we enter into his boat, then we are seen and found by the Father in him. This is what it means to be in Christ. A story of the Bible that might come to mind is the story of Noah's Ark. And this is how the story of Noah's Ark points us to Jesus. It's that Noah and his family were found in the ark, that they were saved by the wrath of God, that they were protected. This is what Jesus does for us. He saves us. It's by his righteousness. And this is our justification. This is what justification means, that we are made right with God apart from our works. So guys, I hope that you find this to be good news. I hope that this lesson was helpful and that you continue to have good discussion. I love you guys. I'm praying for you, and I hope to see you soon.